One of the trends that you've got is natural world and looking at what it is that climate change can do. So for all of you sitting on the, Future Trend Express, we've spoken. Hey, when English is not your mother tongue, but it's a good word, ne? We've spoken about trends. So we've spoken about technology, retail and marketing, economy. We've spoken and interwoven it because there's a lot that speaks to that. And now I'd like to land on the natural world order. So I'm anchoring it on the G20 and looking at what it is that, the trends look like when it comes to climate change. One that I thought was very interesting, especially being individuals based in the global south, is climate colonialism and greenlining. Can you just speak briefly to what that means, what its impact has been, especially on how the global north is punishing the global south, and how, climate change is impacting us more than the global north based on, things and transgressions that have been done in the past in the name of the Industrial Revolution?
Well, this is just more like sort of clickbaity type headlines to really speak to exactly what was spoken about with the Bridgetown agenda that took place not so long ago with Barbados, where the Global South basically got together under Motley, the president or prime minister of Barbados, and she kind of put the speech together talking about how if we want to resolve climate issues from a global perspective, we have to be very cognizant of the trade-offs, the economic trade-offs that come from the cost of the green transition. And she spoke up for the Global South around not being fair that the Global South has to pay for a green transition that's only required because of the excesses of the global north, essentially. That's what the greenlining and the sort of the climate colonization speaks to, but it speaks to in several different ways. Like we've also seen the sort of when it comes to ESG unfairness, not only is there the cost of fixing the problems we've got going into the future, but also the reality that to sort of green and clean balance sheets from countries like Europe, they're trying to export a lot of the dirt that underpins the economy. So the Netherlands, for example, is trying to effectively shut down the agricultural sector so they can have, clean farming. Because of course, farming cows is quite methane and carbon intensive. So by sort of making sure food supply chains are imported rather than done onshore, they're able to have a green, clean economy domestically. But still, you're still exporting that waste, whether it is through manufacturing in China in the east, whether it is from manufacturing in Africa using like cheap coal-based power to effectively still get your products that you then import but they're now clean, or whether it by sort of exporting your fashion excess to dumps in Ghana. These are all ways to sort of make you feel clean and green but still have that cost pass on to other countries. But then you've got, of course, the green lining, which is the other nasty side of that, which is even as you are exporting your carbon excesses and the negative side of your balance sheets to other countries, you're also then limiting imports or tariffs or adding tariffs to imports, saying that, your products now made in Africa are dirty, mainly because we're the negative side of your balance sheet. So there's extra tariffs on products coming from the global south. So you've kind of got this catch-22 that you find yourself between regulation as a global south developing economy, that you're losing access to route to markets, to countries that have effectively put up kind of like moats, ESG moats around doing business with them that become almost impossible to meet, given that you're already sort of, collecting that negative side of the balance sheet. So just sort of looking at those unfairnesses and making sure that when we are measuring apples, we're measuring them with apples to apples and not with apples to hidden pears.
Can I talk about Apple? Just
yes,
pick
please.
Up on
I love apples.
Talk about the apple.
The file under bizarre. It's in the book there. Is just I kind of feel that you said at the beginning. Why the book now? I think we've kind of entered the twilight zone because the stuff that we pick up, you just think you can't make this stuff up. So in terms of climate change, we track very closely food security as well around the world. Yeah. So it started last year or even the year before, 2022, where the farmers in the Nile Delta, one of the sort of most productive parts of it, because of rising temperatures and sea levels, there was too much saline content in the soil. So farmers that used to grow tomatoes can no longer grow tomatoes. They have to grow rice, so you have to wash the soil. So because if you just leave it, they said you start seeing a crust of salt there. So fast forward 18 months, then at the end of 2023, what we picked up is, so we've now developed a heat-resistant apple It's called Tutti. It was launched at a big fruit and vegetable fair in Berlin in late 2023. So this is specifically engineered to grow in extreme temperatures, and they've tested it across different European countries that you can grow this juicy apple. And then file under even more bizarre is we've also now bred heat-resistant cows. So it's a mutation, and so we're messing with genes and things like that. But basically, what this mutation does, it produces a dairy cow specifically, with a shorter coat, so their sweat glands are more effective to keep the cow cool. Because if you're a dairy farmer, your cows optimally produce milk between a 5 degree and 25 degree range. If it goes over 25 degrees, which we're seeing global temperatures go more and more and more, then there's heat distress, there's more disease, their calves die quicker. So we tried misting into sort of all of the holdings. That didn't work, so we've just decided to mutate the cows and create heat-resistant cows. My point is, with that, and a whole lot of things that are also in the book, is it's a column I've just written that's going to come out on Sunday, is about we're just papering over the cracks of global problems, and you're saying, okay, that's fine, we'll adapt our apples and we'll adapt the cows to climate change, but we're not actually going to address what's really happening.
The elephant in the room.
Exactly. Yeah.